York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from the Knick of Time show. Here, give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. I have to do a quick emergency stream right before work. I saw some devastating news about Mitchell Robinson last night. I was just so exhausted I couldn't even get to the stream. But I'm just going to get to it this morning. I'm not sure who's going to be here. This is very impromptu. But even if you guys aren't live with me right now, it will be up so you can hear me talking about it a little bit later. So let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. Mitch Robinson at this point, as you might know, I'm not sure if you know not or not, but Shams reported last night that the Knicks said that Mitch Robinson sustained a stress injury to his left ankle and will be reevaluated in 6 to 8 weeks, which is horrible news for Mitch. Horrible news for Knicks fans. I really feel bad for Mitch because Mitch took his time working back from injury only to be re-injured once again off of a dirty play. And it's funny to me because I don't know if you guys have been following my thoughts specifically on who I want to match up with during the playoffs, but me specifically, I wanted to avoid the Miami Heat like the plague because they play dirty. Bam Adebayo is a lot of illegal screens. We end up getting injured playing the Miami Heat. You saw what they did to Emmanuel Quickly last season. They injured Julius Randle this season and last season. They almost took out Quentin Grimes last season in the playoffs, and I wanted to avoid the Miami Heat like the plague for that reason. Not because I didn't think we could beat them, but because I was not confident that we would walk out of that series with live bodies. Fast forward to now, with Mitchell Robinson being injured and being out 6 to 8 weeks off of a stress injury, merely because he was facing up with Joel Embiid, it's it's disappointing. It's extremely disappointing that I wanted to avoid the Miami Heat only to go through the same thing with Joel Embiid. And I don't know which play it was. This is the infamous play that Knicks fans were pissed about. That seemed pretty dirty. But then there's some people who feel like this is the play that might have injured him, not because, Joel Embiid fell on the floor, but he put all of his weight on Mitchell Robinson's ankle as he's falling on the floor. And Knicks fans, we kind of perceive that as a dirty play. If you contrast that to the way OG Anunoby fell on the floor, and when he landed on Maxey, he made it his business not to put all his weight onto Maxey to so he would not injure. And compared to what Joel Embiid is doing, you can see why Knicks fans are pretty pissed off. Joel Embiid, from this point on, will probably be looked at as one of the most dirtiest players in the NBA to Knicks fans. He will be enemy number one moving forward. I never thought that we would be more mad at anybody in the playoffs more than Bam Adebayo, but Joel Embiid to Knicks fans will probably be the most hated player to Knicks fans from here on out. And prayers up to Mitch and his mindset, because even when he was fighting through this injury, his mindset was different. If you see what he posted during the season, he posted about vengeance during the Knicks versus 76ers series. He said he pretty much said, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. He was not seek revenge. He would let God handle his revenge. That's what he posted during that Knicks 76ers season. Fast forward to last night when he found out his news about the injury, Mitch, he posted, "This is not over. I will seek revenge." Now, this could just mean I'm going to work as hard as I can to get back and play better than ever. I think that's what he's really saying, but I'm just trying to get a sense of Mitch's mindset right now, because I would be devastated if I was Mitch, who worked so hard to come back early only to be re-injured. Now, granted, when Mitch was injured, he probably should have laid off a little bit. He probably shouldn't have tried to come back so soon. But to me, that dirty play from Joel Embiid, the multiple dirty plays from Joel Embiid really did us in and really did Mitch in. Now, this puts the Knicks in an interesting situation to expand our rotation. This is next man up, right? The Knicks, we are the Knicks, we are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. It's the next man up mentality. And we will continue to move as such. We've lost a few players. We lost Randall. We lost Bogey. We lost Mitch right now. But all is not lost. There is one thing I would say that we can do. And if you've been following the KOT show, you might know where I'm going with this. But here's the thing. For these Pacers, for these 76ers, there was a lineup that we used that was very effective versus Joel Embiid. And this is when we put OG Anunoby. We put OG Anunoby at the 5 and Precious at the 4. We went on a huge run in game 5 or game 4 when we went to that lineup with OG at the 5 and Precious at the 4, and we never went back to it again. This is the opportunity to go small again and see what we have. I think that lineup might have, it can disrupt some things. It can definitely disrupt some things. I think that lineup kind of gives us the quickness, the switchability to really, really bother the Pacers. The Pacers had a lot of issues dealing with switching defenses when they played the Bucks. When they played the slowest pace in this series versus the Bucks is when they were switching. That OG Precious lineup gives us the ability to switch a lot more. And as great as Tibbs has been, he's been a lot more flexible with the lineups. I don't think he was ever going this small unless an injury happened. Now that an injury has happened, I think there's no way we cannot go to this lineup. And not only does Precious and OG give us a little bit more switchability, I still feel like we'll be fine on the boards because both of those guys can handle the boards. The Pacers aren't really big board getters. And on top of that, I can see Precious even switching on to I could see Precious switching on to Halliburton as well. I think it works that in that regard as well. I can switch on to Halliburton. Shoot, even TJ. There's instances where I feel like TJ was kind of bothering us the last series and we had no answer. Dante did a masterful job shutting down Halliburton. You can even switch Precious on to TJ, and I think it would work well. So I think surely for our bench, we're going to need Precious. He's pretty much guaranteed minutes at this point. But even with our starters, we might want to mix in and experiment with OG at the 5 and Precious at the 4 just to see what it does. Horrible news. Next man up mentality for real. Definitely a next man up mentality. Devastating news. Mitch, if you have not known and you just walking into the live stream, Mitch will be out 6 to 8 weeks, and he will be reevaluated then, which means he's not coming back in 6 to 8 weeks, but he'll be reevaluated in 6 to 8 weeks. Now, if we do what we have to do, he'll be back for the finals. All right. If you do what we have to do, he'll be back for the finals. But it's going to be a long road to get there if we were to get there. So prayers up to Mitch, and I hope he gets well soon. Shout out to the people who's in the stream. I see you trickling in. Ezekiel Bourne says, I only feel concerned about Boston. Yeah, I feel concerned about Boston too. I still feel like Hartenstein can handle the starting center position. I still feel like he can handle him versus Boston. But when it comes to the depth, when it comes to Luke Cornett off the bench, I think Mitch could handle Luke Cornett off the bench. You know what I'm saying? But Pascal, yeah, I still feel like even with Boston, I still feel like we have a chance with Boston with Mitch out. It's harder for us, but I still feel like we have a chance with Boston with Mitch out, only because our starting five to me still matches up well with their starting five without Porzingis. Our bench might be compromised a little bit, but Precious has been good for us all season. And by the time we get to Boston, I think he'll take out some of that rust and he'll find the rhythm versus the Pacers. I still feel like we'll be okay versus Boston, or we have a shot. If we get past Boston, though, getting to the promised land in the finals, it's going to be like beating like a Timberwolves team or a Nuggets team without our squad. That's another story. That's a whole other story that I don't even want to think about right now. For sure. Kai Quest says easy decision in the offseason. Jericho Sims, here we go. Jay Will says trade this dude. Best ability is availability. You know what? I understand that thinking, Jay Will, but I can't even blame Mitch for this, man, because this is not some injury where he was playing and he was just running down the court and it was a non-contact injury. Joel Embiid is a dirty player, dog. Joel Embiid grabbing his legs as he's in the air and then landing on Mitch and putting all his weight on his ankle. That's too far, man. That's not some regular, and this is not a regular basketball injury where it's just like, oh, okay, it's basketball. Joel Embiid had a lot to do with why Mitch is out right now, which is why I can't even the best. I don't think that the best ability is availability mantra kind of works in this particular scenario. I would even feel bad trading Mitch after this, considering he worked so hard to get back only to run into one of the dirtiest players in the NBA. And to be honest with you, if Embiid were to get tossed out this game and suspended, this probably wouldn't happen, because when he first pulled on Mitch's leg, this was the first offense. This is the first offense. When he first pulled on Mitch's leg, he should have been kicked out then. The other stuff happened. This happened after he pulled on Mitch's leg. He was still going with the dirty BS. So to me, it hurts for the Knicks, but to me, the NBA messed up by not kicking this dude out the game. Like, they compromised the integrity of the game by not kicking this dude out the game, to me. Like, straight up. I will ever see Joel Embiid as a dirty player from this day on. That's just me. I don't like the dude. It's some BS. But Precious Achiuwa next man up. Shoot, maybe even Jericho Sims. You're right about that, Jericho Sims. Jericho Sims hasn't seen any time in the playoffs. To me, he's probably our most switchable big and diverse big, only because of his size and his quickness. For us, it's just Jericho Sims. He doesn't always get it right positionally, which is why he's not always in the game. But when it comes to straight up athleticism, he's probably the guy who might be best built for perimeter defense. But Precious gives you some size. He gives you quickness. He doesn't give you the bulk, but positionally, he's going to be right 9 times out of 10. So we already know that Tibbs is going to Precious Achiuwa over Sims. All right, cool. That was the very, very quick live. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to AP. Shout out to Big Knicks Energy. He says Jamal Murray didn't get suspended either with his team down 0-2. The NBA isn't suspending or ejecting players on their teams down 0-2. Gives them no hope, and it's bad for business. I get the reason why they're not doing it. They don't want to eject their cash cow. But this is what, when you don't punish players or you don't punish people for doing obviously bad things, it puts their battery in their back to keep going and take it further, and it makes it dangerous. So it's like, now how you see nothing really happens when Joel Embiid pulled down Mitchell Robinson in the air. Now he feels comfortable doing other things. It's the same thing with Jamal Murray. He's like, oh, I'm not getting ejected. I'll throw a heat pack next time. I'm not getting tossed out the game. Like you compromise other players by not punishing people for doing wrong. And I understand it's a money thing to keep them in the game because fans want to see star players, but it's dangerous for other players. Shout out to Ezekiel Bourne too. He says we need that eighth guy only because we can't trust Precious completely, or at least Tibbs doesn't. Yeah, I think Tibbs trust Precious enough when we don't have Mitch and we don't have Hartenstein. So Precious will definitely be there. And we might see some Alec Burks too. I just want to warn you guys. All right. So this was a very quick live stream. That's the show. We will be live after the game talking Knicks versus Pacers game 2. I'm also watch out for Knicks versus Pacers game 2, because usually when there's a big uproar about the refs, and you guys might have noticed it last game, the refs kind of tilt more towards the opposite team who they feel like got the short end of the whistle. So because there was some big uproar about how the refs kind of overstepped their bounds about the illegal screen that Miles Turner set on Dante DiVincenzo, they might have a slightly more friendlier whistle to the Pacers. So I want you guys to be cognizant about that before you watch the Knicks versus Pacers game, because that's exactly what happened in the Knicks versus 76ers series when Joel Embiid went off and went on a fouling spree. So keep an eye on that. All right. That's the show. Thank you guys for watching. I got to go to work. I hope you guys join us for the post-game show tonight. And yeah, man, screw Joel Embiid forever. It's up. Every time I see him, like I'm going to see him for real. Every time the Knicks see him, I'll hope we beat them to a pulp. That's the show. We out of here. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe. If you're feeling the live stream, please hit that like and subscribe and share it to your friends too. All right. That's the show. I'm out of here. Peace.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.